Have you heard it, Chris? Because the last time I heard from you, you had not actually heard the new
I
mixes.
I I have not. No,
You still haven't heard it?
I still have not heard it. No, not yet. I heard Ghost. I had to do. I directed and edited a video for Ghost, and so I heard Ghost about 7,000 times while I was editing the video. And my children were like, "Can you play a different song?" I'm like, sorry, guys. Gotta gotta just keep looping this one while I try and get Bobby's drums in time. Like trying to edit the drums so they hit at the right time, and then trying to edit like me singing so that like my mouth is moving, like not like a like Chinese kung fu movie or something. And yeah, you listen to the song a lot, and there's like,
Yeah.
wow, that part I didn't like about the song is not getting better. It's just annoying me every time I hear
Oh,
it.
really? That song actually got I've been finding I love that song more and more. The more I listen to it, I hear new
It's a
things and
good
stuff.
song.
Yeah. Like
It's a cool song.
and so I hear different things, and so you're doing a music video for this, and I saw somewhere that there were people out there looking for photos and things like that. Does that have something to do with this?
Yeah, I was trying to. I had this big concept, and I was going to try and get some fan footage in the
Hmm.
video. And then once I started actually cutting the video, it took a different direction. Like in my mind,
Hmm.
I thought it was going to be one thing, and then I was able to film me, Carlton, and Bobby in LA. But Walter sent me footage of himself, and the way that he shot it. He used like his regular DSLR camera, and he would just put it on a table and then shoot. And he had all these. He's got this crazy Frankenstein's lab
Hmm.
studio with all these like blinking lights, and he's running the track, so all these lights are blinking in time, and they're all in the corners of the shot. And I'm like, I really like that, so I ended up taking a bunch of his Frankenstein's lab and cutting it into the video. And when I did that, it completely changed the direction of it. Like it became a different beast. And so,
That happens with art,
um,
you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You think you're going in one direction, and then you take a fork in the road, and next thing you know, you're writing a bluegrass record.
So you're telling me that I've heard this because I've heard the album now. You're telling me I've heard this before you?
Yeah,
Wow. All right.
I've heard 4 songs off of it.
So on the day of that's crazy to me. Walter sort of I heard an interview recently, and Walter apparently kind of took the reins of control of this one, and that's been kind of a first for you in a long time. And it sounds like you sort of were willing to let that happen, like and I'm sure that maybe that wasn't necessarily how you started out with this, but it sounds like Walter kind of took over, like I'll take care of it, and you sort of let him. And I wonder, is that because of you felt like let's do something different, or what? Why was that?
That makes me sound very generous. No, he
Yeah,
hijacked it.
yeah, he hijacked it. I was trying to be
Yeah.
nice, like I was like, it sounds like you just
Yeah.
took over, like I'm doing it. I'll see you.
No, it was okay. So the situation was that you got two quarterbacks, two
Hmm.
chefs, two pilots,
Yep.
and we both want to do, we both want to do our thing. And in the olden days of Stabbing Westward, back in the 1900s, Walter and Andy were the guys. They had studios in their houses, and they would do the majority of the music, and I would write the vocals, and that was kind of the band. And then after the band broke up, I interned to be an engineer and a producer, and started producing other people's records and producing dreaming albums, and writing, pretty much every dreaming song was me
Was you?
with
Yeah.
somebody else, me with Carlton, me with Jinx, whatever.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of how we got used to working as a pair, and I was always the producer, so I always had sort of the final say. I would
Mhm.
be like, okay, this is the vision I see for the song. They would give me parts, I would assemble it, and so it always kind of had my stamp on it.
Yeah.
And when Walter and I started working on these new songs, the majority of them came out of my brain.
Mhm.
Ghost is a perfect example. I wrote Ghost at home on my computer, and I did a really minimal version of it, sent it to Walter, and he basically wrote a brand new song,
Wow.
which over the weekend he wrote like all new music for it, and it was cool. I mean, I was like, wow, that's really really cool. It's way better than, because I left it really like open, like okay, I want everyone to be able to contribute, and he just wrote a completely new track. The vocals still worked, but that was pretty much the only thing left over from my original idea. I'm like, that's really awesome. This is a very cool version of the song. But what if we did this? And he's like, no, we don't need to change anything. This is perfect. This is exactly the way the song is supposed to be. And I'm like, yeah, but that bass guitar in the verse just really doesn't need to be there. It's like, can we just lose the bass guitar? No, this is perfect. And so every song we sort of had that like butting heads kind of thing.
Right.
And we'd made a promise to each other when we started this record. We will not let anybody ever do to us what they did to us on the self-titled record, where we went in with one batch of songs and we came out with this unrecognizable pile of turds. And it's like, we'll never let a producer or a manager or a record label or anybody ever push us in the wrong direction again. We know exactly what we want on this record. And we made this vow, and that was our thing for this record. And then I realized, oh, he means me too.
Right. Yeah.
He won't let me do anything to his song. So
even if you started the song, like
yeah.
So you have to be willing. So going forward, you now know, because I mean, you guys have come back to being close again. So going forward, you now know if I have something important to me and I bring it to him, it may be altered. I may keep that to myself in the future, or.
That's exactly what ended up happening. Is that once it started, we had to get John involved in order to like get the song finished, because we were just loggerheads. We were just done. We couldn't figure out how to get around the thing. So John sorted it out. Him and John did their 7 songs for the record. They mixed them. Didn't ask anyone's opinion. Just like once they were happy, that was done. And then I did I Am Nothing, Push, Cold, and Wasteland. So I did 4 of them.
So
they were my songs. I basically kind of kept them to myself.
Oh, you kept? Oh, really? Okay. So because so you'll like this then. This is some suck up stuff. Push is amazing. That song blew my head when I heard that.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Walter's music originally was he wrote the soundtrack for that. And then I did the vocals, and then he let me take it kind of next level with a bunch of like extra pure layers of guitars and synths and stuff coming in and really building the track.
Yeah.
That was a fun song to do.
This album, or at least some of the songs especially, they have a sound that I haven't heard before, really, a little bit. There's a little bit of, that, I mean, it's that 80s, you guys talk about this a lot, that 80s sound that you never really got because the band transitioned Ungod, with a blister, and it kind of like took on these other personas. This sounds like that sound, finally, that you were maybe going for, but now it's 2022,
That is exactly it. Yeah, when we started the band, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to do analog synths and drum machines. We wanted to be an electronic band. Depeche Mode was our favorite band in the entire world. And then after 2 tours with them, basically spending 2 years with them, it got even driven deeper into us. This love of pure analog synths and drum machines. But the band just kept going more and more kind of alternative rock. At one point, we sounded more like Bush than Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
With songs like Everything I Touch and On Your Way Down. And so Walter and I were like, let's just go back to our roots. Like, let's just do it, and that's what he's great at, man. He's got so many keyboards, so many cool drum machines, and he's able to just, once you untie his hands and let him go nuts, he's brilliant.
How did you feel about, because the some of the songs changed, a couple of them from the EP that came out a little while back, and one of those things is Crawl.
Yeah.
How do you feel Crawl was changed? Which version do you like better, and how do you feel about those changing up those versions?
Oh, I don't. You can't really even compare them. I don't even think of Crawl as being the same song now. I love the original version because that was my baby. But John didn't really understand it. He didn't like the fact that it was a weird time signature and based on a music box and all that. Really, he's like, you're a rock band, dude. Yeah. So Walter took it and was messing around with it. And I was just like, what if we do it in 4/4? What if we do it like a regular time instead of in this weird? I was doing it in 3/4, so it was kind of almost like a waltz on a music box. And Yeah, so I sang the vocal in 4/4, which was really weird and hard the first time I did it. But I found a way to make it work and sent it to him, and then he built, once again, he just built the entire track around that vocal, and I think it came out really cool. But they're two completely different things. And I think that was kind of the point, was that when we did the EP, we hadn't signed a record deal to make an album.
Yeah.
So we were presenting those three songs as they were, but in order to use those three songs on the record, I felt like they needed to be, changed up a bit. And John took the reins on that. And then on like Cold, he basically was like, lead singers of industrial bands don't play trumpet.
Yeah, you cut the beginning.
You can't play trumpet.
I love the whole thing from beginning to end. I think Crawl, I think it breaks up a little bit because even though I love the original version, it's very epic and stuff, but I think it adds a different element to this that keeps things fresh moving through it. So
yeah,
but
and it gives it cohesion through the album too. I think having Crawl sound like that makes it feels like a whole album. If
yes,
it was the other version, it would feel out of place.
I agree. It marries it to this sound that we're going for here. I've always wanted to hear the Fly Away done or redone, and I don't think that necessarily happened, but you did have a line or some lines from it and a lot of themes from that song.
Here's the Easter egg. Fly Away came after the end.
Okay, so the
end was
first.
written for the self-titled album. And it was considered too dark for the record.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty.
So Walter and I went back to it, and so the original vocal melody and lyrics that became Fly Away, that's what those are. So I kept the same vocal approach and lyrics as the original version that I did for the self-titled album that never got released. So this is actually the original version of Fly Away.
That
was,
which is good. Like it was very hard. It was very sad, like very hard hitting. So I think mission accomplished.
Can't wait to hear it.
So, you haven't heard it yet? That's right. Chris Hall hasn't heard the record.
But I heard all the demos. I mean, I tracked the vocals, so I heard everything. I just haven't heard John's mixes and then the mastering by Tom. So at some point, I'll get a record sent to me.
The bass
they printed vinyl. So.
I've never heard the bass sound like it does on this album from anything even that you've done. And I know Carlton did the bass, right? So he's been around for a while, but I've never heard it sound this way.
No, I think Walter did. I think Carlton played some of the bass, but I think Walter played a lot of it. Walter played the bass on the end.
Okay. Yeah, I
think Walter did all the instruments on the end.
Yeah, it's people are, if you haven't heard it yet, I mean, you guys, this is wild. I'm pretty excited about it. So with all these,
it's very Pink Floyd meets.
That's what I said
tonight. Genesis,
Yes, it's very Pink Floyd sounding. The end sounds very Pink Floyd. Yep, and I love Pink Floyd, so it makes sense.
We do too, yeah. I mean, that was our pre-'80s influence. It was definitely Pink Floyd and Genesis and stuff like that.
It's when a band can sound so like different or weird or interesting to me, and especially a singer. Like I always thought Roger Waters was bizarre, in comparison to Gilmour. And when they come together, it sort of marries that. And that's what I think about. That's why I think anything you sing usually I like. I think it's that it has to sound a little different. If it sounds just like every other singer, it's not as interesting at all to me. Going into the songs being done differently, you've talked about this in the past. It's a huge question I put out on a couple message boards, and I saw this question 100 times. People are really itching for those self-titled demos, and I talked a couple years ago about maybe make a Patreon and every month release a track or release a rework or something. Is that something you guys could see you guys doing?
I don't know. I'd rather move forward. That's like a pretty dark period in our history.
Are you saying, and are you just move on? Like we're not gonna, we're not
gonna. I'd rather just move on. I mean, I've gone back and listened to a couple of those demos, and they were rough. They weren't great because we don't. By that point, we weren't wasting the time trying to do polished demos. When we first got signed, we would try and make our demos sound like albums, but then we realized it's a waste of time to nitpick a demo when you're going to go in and re-record the whole thing.
Right.
So a lot of those were, just basically sketches of the songs. But I can tell you that like Wasted and Wasted was a much darker song And then so was Happy. Happy was a really kind of sounded like a dark Garbage song, like the band Garbage. It just had this sort of trip hoppy, cool quality to it that it lost by the time that it made it on the record. It was ironically not a Happy song. So even the chords were different. Like the guitar player who came in on that record. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
want
to
make
about
our awesome new record.
Yeah, like let's talk about Chasing Ghosts. People just harped on it after you mentioned it a couple of times. I think people were like, "Oh, cool, that's coming out too." But yeah, Chasing Ghosts is out. So what do you look forward to in the future coming up? Like, do you guys? Is it all about touring? That's the real biggest question is about the touring, and I'm sure you guys don't even know. But people want to know when you're coming out here, and we know you can only do weekends. What's the plan for touring?
Yeah, we're weekend warriors now. I don't know, man. We told our agent that we're available for the summer, and we've got a handful of gigs. So I don't know. I think what ended up happening is that all the bands in the world stopped touring for 2 years. Half the clubs in the world shut down because they didn't have any business for 2 years, and so now you've got all the bands in the world ready to go back out on tour with half as many rooms to play in. And so I think it's slim pickings to find a place to play. I know the places we're confirmed. We're doing Portland, Seattle in July. We're going to Brussels for a show the week before that, and then we're doing a benefit show April 15th in Chicago at the Metro. As far as I know, that's. Oh, and we're doing a metal festival in West Virginia.
Okay, well that'll be interesting.
August, yeah, that should be interesting. Would be a word for
it. That will be really.
I'm gonna watch Deliverance the night before.
I'll have to see that.
Actually, West Virginia is a beautiful state. Actually, we've played it a couple times before. It's like the mountains are beautiful. It's really, really a great place.
I'll go anywhere at this point to get.
I haven't been to Boston in 5 years.
Yeah, I think I saw you guys in maybe Rhode Island. I think 5 years or 3.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, time has flown by since then. I think I saw you in Boston at the Middle East, and then I saw you in Providence after that. I think.
Yeah, that was forever ago.
Yeah. It feels like I'm sure you haven't even thought about
putting out another record.
Yeah, or a song, or maybe, or do you think that like,
dude, man, we just got this one
I know this is just coming out, but yeah, I mean going forward.
So greedy.
Oh yeah, no, we are. Yeah, the people are. I'm reading the questions and I'm going by the questions. I'm like, wow, they already want new stuff.
Yeah.
What are you?
Let's see how they respond to the new stuff, because I'm still not convinced.
Oh, really?
That anybody wants to hear anything other than Save Yourself and What Do I Have to Do. We'll see. When we play this stuff live, we'll see what the reaction is. I'm hoping that enough fans have listened to it online or on the album that they know it when we play it. Because that's the thing. Is every time you put out a new record, you're supposed to play the new songs on the new record to support the new record. But what's that?
What's the song you're most excited to play from the new record?
I've only heard 4 of them, so I'm just kidding. I think we're going to add Ghost and I Am Nothing to the set list for April. Both of those will be fun to sing. I'd like to sing Wasteland. I think that one would be really fun. And Push. I think Push would be really epic.
Yeah.
Push could be the new Waking Up Beside You.
Yeah, I'll push for the new Push. That one really hit me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.